So, review kabarkada, let's all give a warm kipap welcome to Teacher Cedric Garcia, LPT. Hi, Ced.
Ayan, thank you so much, no, Josh, for that introduction. I'm very thankful talaga for this opportunity to be here with you, no, sa inyong lahat, especially for those na nakatutok sa ating live stream. Hello and good evening sa inyong lahat. So, ayun, grabe, kailan na ba ang upkat ninyo? Kailan na ba ang mga exams ninyo? No, malapit na, I'm sure, kasi as early as February, parang same time 7 years ago, parang I'm also preparing na rin for all of these exams, no. I'm also preparing for the application, no, especially yung mga grade 12 students natin. Grade 12 ba ako? Or grade 11 student ata ako no, nung nagpe-prepare ako ng mga application forms ko. So, ayun, thank you again for inviting me here to be the lecturer, no, for English. And ayun, sana naman ay makinig tayo for today, no, kung sa Filipino may mga confusions tayo sa nang versus nang, ganun din sa English, no, mas lalo sa English since English is not really our first language or mother tongue, no, it's just our second language. For some siguro, especially sa mga Gen Zs ngayon, baka English na yung first language ninyo. But of course, iba naman yung iba din talaga kung paano tayo magsalita ng English compared sa kapag we're focusing on technicalities na. And we're hoping, no, na ganun yung ma-discuss natin for tonight and ma-shed light ng light, no, yung mga confusions natin about the English concepts na we might encounter, no, sa ating sa inyong exams, no. So I'm checking yung mga comments ninyo dito sa sa live stream. Hello, no, sabi ni Phoebe, may mga nagsishish dyan. Sabi ni Celestia, sana me soon. Ako, kayang-kaya niyo yan for sure. Na hindi naman siya madali. Aaminin ko, hindi madali nung even the review, hindi super hirap niya, but what I can give you, no, or what I can tell you is just try your best, no, lagi lang mag-aral. If you have all the time starting from today until sa last day of your exams, go allot it, no, sa pag-review and understand yourself. Kailangan nyo ding intindihin kung ano yung mga weaknesses pa ninyo. No, yun yung mga naging parang equipment ko or yung mga weapons ko, no, going forward dito sa mga exams. And I understand all of your pressure. Naiintindihan ko yan kasi just last year, no, nag-take din ako ng licensure exam ko. And same feels, no, kapag nagtitake ka ng mga exams for UP. Ako nung nag-take ako 7 years ago, no, it was 2018 nung nag-take ako ng mga ganyan ko ng mga entrance exams. And nag-apply ako sa 5 schools. And then fortunately, no, nakapasa naman ako sa lahat ng yon. And then of course, I chose UP kasi number 1, it's free, no? Sobrang laking tulong talaga ng free education sa generation natin. And then aside from that, malapit lang din kasi sa bahay. So taga QC lang din ako. But aside from that, I also took USTET tsaka DCAT, no? Naglasal din ako. And then nag-UST din ako, and pretty much, no, maraming differences yung iba't ibang mga exams na yon. Very different yung UP, very different yung UST. And during our time, I can say na UST yung pinaka nahirapan akong i-take. No, so super grabing hirap. Hindi naman sobrang hirap, but iba yung hindi ako na-prepare for the types of questions na meron sa USTET compared doon sa questions na meron sa UPCAT and sa DCAT. So, for today, no, we're hoping na makover natin kung ano ba yung mga usual na mga questions, no, na pwedeng lumabas, no, sa inyong UPCAT. Sabi ni nung isa dito sa ating live stream, August po ang UPCAT. Nako, August. Ilang months na lang, no? 5 to 6 months na lang, no, bago kayo mag-take ng exams. But I hope, no, nakapag-apply na ba or ongoing ba ang applications ninyo? Ayun, may mga nagsasabi dito, kinakabahan daw siya sa reading comprehension. Nako, funny thing, 'di ba? Di ba? Ako ay English major ng EDUC. Pero surprisingly, when I received my UPCAT score, reading comprehension yung pinakamababa ko. As in, super mababa. Like, 70 mababa. Ganong klaseng mababa. And then other UPCAT scores ko naman, nasa 90 plus. Science ko mababa din. But what I can tell you is yung English, no, or yung language component ng mga exams, for me is the most important because number one, dalawang subtest, no, yung nako-cover ng English and ng Filipino, no, that would be yung language proficiency and yung reading comprehension, no. For those of you na hindi pa sure, no, or hindi pa aware sa kung ano yung mga components ng ating exams, so UPCAT, kung ganun pa rin yung format nila, no, UPCAT has 4 components. Meron tayong math, which I believe, no, nag-math kayo kahapon. And then meron ding science. And then for English and Filipino, it's actually combined. May English and Filipino for language proficiency, and then may English and Filipino din for reading comprehension. No? So March pa daw yung application. Ayan. So ayun, without further ado, no, baka we can start na no. So paano ba magiging process natin sa review natin for today, no? So just like yesterday, no, parang ang gagawin natin is I'll be flashing some questions, no. This is a very effective strategy, no, ng pag to do or to execute mga lecture types, especially for exam preparations, na una munang na-encounter ninyo ay yung mga questions, and then you try to answer it on your own, and I'll be hoping, no, na magsasagot kayo sa ating live stream. Don't be shy, no, magsagot na kayo dyan, mag-type na kayo kahit mali, kahit hindi kayo sure. Please do participate, ilagay ninyo yung sagot ninyo, kasi the more that you participate sa ating mga questions, no, the more na mas madali ninyong maintindihan, the more na mas may attachment kayo sa mga questions, no, kasi you get to interact with it, you get to really have a connection with the question. So if magkamali kayo, tatatak talaga yan sa isip ninyo. Ganun ang ginagawa ko. Parang I really embrace all of the mistakes na nagagawa ko during review season, kasi that really helps me na mas maalala sila, no, kasi ganon natin siya gagawin, no. So I'll be flashing questions, magsasagot kayo, and then later on, no, I'll be telling you what the correct answer is, and then explanation, no, about the English concepts, about the concept behind bakit ganon yung tamang sagot. Okay? So ayun, may mga nagsasabi dito sa ating live stream, crossed fingers para sa UP. Ayan. So without further ado, ready na ba kayong mag-start ng ating review session for English today? Ayan, you may send the heart reactions or heart emoji sa ating live stream if you are very much ready na for the English and reading comprehension component, no, ng ating free UPCAT review. Ako, super lucky ninyo, no, kasi may ganitong may Kipap that's very ready, no, na magbigay sa inyo ng free online review. So call your friends, tag nyo na sila para ito na yung maging watch party ninyo, no, para talagang you really learn, no, while you have this free time sa inyo. So with that, let's start with question number 1. Ayan. So our question number 1. Sabi dito, no, the senator's laconic response wrapped up the whole debate in the conference. Is it letter A, talkative, B, concise, C, expansive, D, elaborate, or letter E, explanatory? So I'll give you mga siguro 1 minute, no, including na dun yung delay time from my end to your end para sagutan siya. I'll be waiting for your answer sa live stream. Go ahead. Okay, keep the answers coming lang. Ayan. So, let's try to answer question number 1. Now, so for UPCAT, no, or for all kinds of exams, no, na may encounter ninyo, you would encounter questions like this, no, na sentence lang ang ibibigay sa inyo, pero walang question. But for this particular question, no, or for this particular item, no, parang syempre kailangan may analytical skills muna tayo. Kailangan muna nating i-analyze what the question is all about. And from this, makikita natin na may underlined word. So kapag ganito yung mga na-encounter natin ng mga questions, no, usually, itong mga klase ng questions na to, it asks about vocab or yung mga vocabulary words. No? Very apparent siya sa mga, sa iba ako nag-annotate. Ayan, vocabs. No, kapag sinabi nating vocabs, no, ito yung mga words. No, particularly, ito yung mga unusual words na na-encounter natin. Well, ako, as an English major, weirded out pa rin ako sa yung gumagamit ng mga highfalutin words to ask, no, ano yung mga meaning. No, parang ako ang naiisip ko talaga doon is bakit natin naalamin yung meaning if unusual naman, 'di ba? Pero no, growing up, no, or really understanding ano yung importance ng vocab, it really helps us kasi to think. And yung vocabs natin, even though it seems na pare-pareha sila ng meaning, 'di ba? Meron tayong mga tinatawag na synonyms. No, familiar naman tayo sa synonyms, 'di ba? 'Di ba ang synonyms natin, ito yung mga words in which magkakaibang mga words sila, but at the same time, parang may mga magkakalapit silang mga meaning. No? So ano bang importance itong mga vocabs na to? It helps us to determine and use, no, ano yung perfect na word na dapat nating gamitin for a particular context. No? Kaya yung mga vocab questions natin, ang kagandahan sa kanila, may context ka. And especially yung mga ganitong klase ng questions kung saan binibigyan ka ng sentence, binibigyan ka na nila agad ng idea. Kaya yung tip number 1 ko sa inyo, when you encounter questions about vocab, is we try to understand the meaning of the sentence before we try to understand the meaning of the words. No, kasi kapag naintindihan na natin ano yung ibig sabihin ng sentence, no, o nung passage, no, kapag alam na natin yung konteksto nila, kasi nalilimit naman yan eh. No, halimbawa, makakita ka ng words like trees. No, so trees, grass, rivers, no, may imagine mo, oh, it's about a forest probably. No, so yung mga words that are attached to it, mas madali na lang, mas nalilimit mo na it's all about forest. Ano pa ba yung mga other words na pwede mong ma-attach sa forest? No, yung mga logging, no, yung mga ganong klaseng activities, hiking, camping. No, so mas nalilimit sila. So dito, in this particular question, sabi dito, laconic response. So may response daw na laconic, no? And then it wrapped up the whole debate in the conference. And the correct answer natin is concise. No, marami sa inyong nakakuha ng tamang sagot. Concise ang ating sagot. And I think the first one to write, no, the correct answer is si Ruther. No, congratulations, Ruther. Ikaw yung pinakakauna-unahang nakakuha ng tamang sagot natin. So bakit ba concise yung ating sagot dito? Let's try to look at the choices, no? Response, ibig sabihin parang you're trying to, laconic is an adjective, no? Talks about kung ano yung response niya. Yung talkative natin here, hindi naman siya pwedeng maging adjective ng Hindi naman siya pwedeng maging adjective ng response kasi ang talkative, it pertains to a person, 'di ba? It pertains to a person. Yan. So yung expansive, pwede siya, pero ano bang meaning ng expansive, no? Parang ina-expand niya. Actually, it's the same as elaborate. Yung elaborate, although it seems like a good word, no, para i-wrap up yung discussion, kapag sinabi nating inelaborate, pinalalim niya at pinalawak niya pa yung konteksto ng kung ano yung pinag-uusapan nila. Therefore, no, pwedeng hindi niya ma-wrap up yung discussion dahil magbe-branch out pa kapag inelaborate mo yung ano yung point niya. And then, ganun din sa explanatory, no? Pero yung concise natin as a word, no, ano bang meaning ng concise natin? Di ba? Very brief, very short, but at the same time, complete na. No, so I don't know kung sinasabihan kayo ng mga teachers ninyo, no, especially sa English, na make your answers concise, make your answers brief. No, kasi gusto na usually, no, sa mga English teachers kami, we would want responses from our students na hindi paligoy-ligoy, no? You should not be beating around the bush, and then direct to the point, no? Tumbukin nyo na agad yung gusto nyong sabihin, no? Especially for responses, and because of that, mas madaling ma-wrap up yung isang conversation. Ayun. So, aside from that, no, aside from understanding the context clues, no, tinatawag nating context clues yung mga ganong clues na nakukuha natin sa sentence, kung tungkol saan yung sentence, pwede nyo ding maging clue ang grammatical function, no, ng isa to identify or para malaman ninyo ano yung meaning ng word na yon. So, ano ba yung meaning natin when we say grammatical function? Ayan. Grammatical. Wait lang. Medyo may lag on my side. So, kapag sinabi natin grammatical function, 'di ba, sa grammar, meron tayong different parts of speech. Meron tayong nouns, meron tayong pronouns, meron tayong verbs, may adjectives, and many more. No? So, paano ba nakakatulong ang grammatical function in understanding vocabulary? Sometimes makaka-encounter kayo, no, ng mga questions na iba-iba yung choices, and that might be really helpful sa inyo. So, for example, instead na talkative, instead na adjective siya, naging verb siya. No? Naging talking siya, itong talkative natin. Talking yung choices na nandyan. So, by seeing that difference, no, parang imamatch mo siya doon sa doon sa underlined word eh. So, kung yung laconic mo, it functions as an adjective, pipili ka ba ng isang choice na hindi naman adjective din? Di ba hindi? Kasi it would be out of context and then super mahirap siyang i-match doon. Kaya, parang you also have to look at kung paano ginamit yung certain word. Was it used as an adjective? Was it used as a noun? No, and then i-match nyo doon sa ating mga choices. No, but for this one, lahat kasi sila adjective. Kaya medyo additional challenge din siya kung paano siya i-analyze. And then, aside from that, no, be careful lang din because for questions on vocab, you might also encounter yung mga questions that asks about antonyms naman, which is the opposite of synonyms. No, ano ba yung antonyms? No, so kung yung synonyms, ito yung similar idea or similar definition, no, ng iyong word na pinatutungkulan. Yung antonyms naman, ito yung opposite, right? Kung naaalala ninyo, antonyms are the opposite word of the underlined word. No, so kung laconic yung response na ano yung pwedeng maging opposite niya? Kung short, brief, no, pwedeng maging questionable, pwedeng vague, no, yung mga magiging magiging antonyms na kasi it asks about ano yung kabaliktaran. No, so be careful lang kasi sometimes yun yung mga nakakaligtaan ng mga exam takers. Ako, parang may na-encounter din akong gano'n na parang when we were checking the exam, parang super sayang kasi may question pala na what is the antonym of the underlined word. Pero, first thing na pumasok sa utak ko was synonym. Kaya, ayun yung sinagot ko. So, ayun, be careful lang sa mga ganong klase ng question. Ayan. And then, aside from that, no, we also have yung mga prefixes natin or yung mga affixes natin kung tawagin. Familiar ba with affixes? So yung mga affixes natin, meron tayong tinatawag na prefix, suffix, and then yung mga infix. No, meron pa nga circumfix yung tawag kapag dalawang Or sa Filipino, sila yung mga panlapi natin. Basically, these are yung segments ng mga letters or yung parang chunks of letters, no, na dinudugtong natin doon sa root word to come up with a different meaning. No, so makaka-encounter din kayo ng mga ganyan, and that might also help you, no, na ma-identify kung ano yung hinahanap na definition or synonym ng underlined word na medyo unfamiliar tayo, no. So kapag halimbawa, 'di ba, may mga prefixes na post. No, ano ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin nun after, 'di ba? Kapag pre naman, early or before. No, kapag re or e, parang ulitin, to repeat, no, to do again. So you have to be conscious then on those types of chunks of words then or chunks of letters then kasi talagang magiging clues nyo sila. Ayan. And then finally, no, for vocabs, Ano pa ba? Aside from context clues, prefixes, understanding synonyms and antonyms, yung tinatawag nating connotations and denotations. Ayan. Connotations and denotations. Letter C and letter D. Ayan, sorry, medyo di ko na ma-type yung letter D. But ano ba ibig sabihin natin when we say connotations and denotations? Connotations, ang tandaan lang natin dyan, letter C, connotation is culture. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga words na cultural yung kanyang meaning. Not the literal meaning. No, kapag denotations naman, letter D, no, ang alalahanin natin dyan is dictionary. No, so for C, connotation, culture, D, denotation is for a dictionary. So ano ba yung difference nitong dalawang to? Basically, no, sa English language or even sa Filipino language, no, meron tayong tinatawag na connotation in which ang meaning niya is not really dictionary level but more on cultural. Paano siya ginamit sa konteksto or sa kultura ng isang lugar. No, so halimbawa, 'di ba may usong-uso ngayon na parang phrase ang mga Gen Z na parang sinasabi noon, I'm cooked. No? 'Di ba? Cooked, parang it's a slang, a Gen Z slang na kung saan usually ginagamit siya kapag parang ang feeling ay hala, patay ako, nalagot ako. No, parang ganun yung meaning ng cooked. But for denotative meaning, no, yung cook is actually naluto, no, under fire or under a certain amount of heat. No, so yung dalawang magkaparehong salita na yon, it can carry, no, two different meanings depende sa kung paano siya gamitin. No, and with the rise of Gen Z slang, no, grabe ang pagiging creative ng mga Gen Zs ng ating generation ngayon sa mga salita, 'di ba? Super dami ng meanings, 'di ba? Yung Latina, for example, super easy yan kapag sinabing sobrang Latina. No, before ang Latina natin is talking about a particular race or particular mga people, no, in that Latin part or Latin community. But now, because of TikTok, because of some other mga pauso, kapag sinabi mong Latina yung isang tao, 'di ba, ibig sabihin super ganda, ganon. So, yun yung pinagkaiba ng connotative and denotative meaning. Ayun. So, yun naman yung other ways na kung paano natin i-analyze yung particular question na yun. Okay? So, ayan. Next one. Aside from vocabs, no, you may also encounter these types of question. No? Tawag natin dito are analogy questions. No, usually nasa language proficiency din siya. Nung time ko, mas madami nito sa DCAT, no, sa DLSU entrance exam. So, ano bang sagot natin dito? I'll give you 1 minute to answer. Okay, so type nyo lang yung inyong answer sa ating comment box, no? So, ratify is to yes, as to, letter A, loom is to no, B, eradicate is to yes, C, veto is to no, D, stifle is to yes, or letter E, goad is to no. Ayan. So, keep the answers coming. Ayan. So, karamihan sa inyo dito nagsabi, actually hati-hati, no, yung mga answers ninyo. No, but the correct answer for this one is letter. Next slide po, please. The correct answer natin for this one, it's letter C. Veto is to no. Ayan, so yung mga analogy questions natin, no, kailangan marami din tayong alam at marami din tayong baon ng mga vocabs, no, talagang iba't iba yung mga words na. Kung mapapansin niyo, yung mga terms natin dito, very political in nature, very legislative siya. So ano bang meaning natin when we say ratify? 'Di ba? Ito yung kapag minsan nakaka-encounter tayo ng mga balita or ng mga news na nagsasabi na parang the bill was ratified already to the Senate, no? Ibig sabihin lang noon, parang pinayagan no, or parang may official permission na, no, from a particular group of people, no, to continue, no. So yes yung kanyang counterpart, and you have to understand lang din ano yung relationship ng dalawang yon, and try to find doon sa ating example or doon sa ating mga choices ano yung niya, yung parang ka-similar niya ng pagiging, or kung saan siya pinaka-parallel, no. So yung loom is to know. Ano bang meaning natin when we say loom, no? 'Di ba kapag sinabi nating loom, parang medyo vague, no, parang medyo malabo yung loom is to know. So parang weird, no, kasi yung loom parang usually mas nagiging adjective siya, mas nagagamit siya as an adjective, pero pwede naman siyang maging verb. To eradicate is to yes. When we say eradicate, ang meaning naman natin ng eradicate is to destroy completely, 'di ba? To destroy completely. So, yes ba yung tamang positive din ba siya? No, parang hindi naman. Yung stifle, ano bang stifle natin? Stifle natin, 'di ba, parang to suppress. No, parang to suppress yung ibig sabihin niya. So parang hindi rin. Then yung goad, no, parang ganun din, no, parang medyo negative din yung kanyang meaning. No, when we say veto naman, ito naman yung actually yung goad, parang to provoke actually, no. So very negative din yung kanyang meaning. And then yung veto, usually ito yung mas nakirinig natin in conversation sa mga legislature, 'di ba? No, kapag the president vetoes the bill, so kapag vinito niya yung bill, ibig sabihin lang nun ay parang ginamit niya yung kanyang kapangyarihan to deny kung ano man yung napag-agreehan nila. So, may ganong kapangyarihan. So, the correct answer natin dito is veto is to know, no? So, ayan, sa mga analogy types of questions, marami kayong pwedeng ma-encounter na relationships. But definitely, the most important thing na kailangan ninyong matandaan for this one is kailangan nating alamin ano ba yung relationship nitong dalawang words na pinag-combine, no? So, number one, pwede siyang synonyms and antonyms. May mga ganun tayong klase ng mga analogy. For example, happy is to joyful, as to sad is to unhappy, di ba? So may mga ganun. So kailangan lang natin hanapin yung synonyms or yung antonyms niya, like hot is to cold or up is to down. No, pwede din naman yung mga part is to whole. No, for example, leaf. Kapag may leaf, yun yung part, ano yung whole niya, di ba? Tree or plant. And then petal is to flower. No? So, pag mga ganon, part to whole yung kanyang relationship. Pwede din namang other way around, no? Na whole to part. Like, car is to wheel. Yung car, siya yung kabuuan. And then wheel is yung part lang. As to house is to room. Diba? Yung isang buong bahay. And then one part lang nun is yung room. So, part to whole and whole to part relationships. Pwede ding causation, no, yung mga cause and effect relationships, no, kapag for example, you exercise is to fitness, no, as study is to understand, no, parang ganon, no, or exercise is to grow, exercise is to be healthy, no, study is to understand. Mga ganong causation, cause to effect, or effect is to cause, or ano yung agent, bakit naging ganon yung effect niya. Ayan. Aside from that, marami pang relationships na pwede kayong ma-encounter, yung mga sources to product, no? So, saan nanggaling yung isang product? Like, for example, vine is to grapes, no? Or bee is to honey, mga ganon. Then, yung mga object is to purpose. For example, yung pen, ano bang purpose ng pen natin? Diba? To write. And then, ang counterpart niya pwedeng spoon, which is to eat. Diba? So, maraming klase ng relationships yung pwede nating ma-encounter sa analogy. But, the best way that you can answer this one is to really understand ano yung relationship ng kanyang ng dalawang words na yon. And kaya ko din pinagsunod itong dalawang to, it's because very important din yung pag-analyze natin sa vocabs, no? Pwedeng makatulong din yung mga affixes na meron kayo dito, no? Pwedeng makatulong yung mga ganong klase ng context clues or ng mga tawag dito morphological clues, no? Morphology kasi it's yung word level. So, yeah, we just really have to check ano yung pinaka mag-fit na relationship doon sa ating analogy questions. Okay? So, moving forward, question number 3. Ito naman ang ating question number 3. No, so, Neo's speech was blank in its delivery, but the message was blank by the audience. No? So, ano yung word, no? Or what are the groups of word na talagang mag-fit dito sa ating sentence na to? Is it letter A, illicit, is to well-received, elusive? Letter B, elusive and then well-reserved? Letter C, illicit, is to well-rested? Or letter D, explicit, no, as to well-received? So, I'll give you time. Please type in your answer sa ating comment section, or comment section ba yun? Sa live stream comment. I'll give you time. Ayan, okay. So, ang ating tamang sagot for question number 3, it's letter D. Explicit and well-received. Yan, so itong mga klase ng questions na to, you just have to look for ano yung best word, no, na talagang mag-fit doon sa kanyang doon sa context ng sentence natin. No, so mapapansin natin dito yung first words natin, no, illicit, elusive, illicit, explicit. No, medyo magkakatunog sila, medyo magkakaparehas, no. Mukhang medyo nakakalito siya actually for some of us na hindi alam yung difference ng mga ganitong klase ng words. No, but yung second one, yung second string of words naman, actually no, mas madali siyang intindihin, mas madaling ma-analyze yung question based on the second one compared to the first one. So ano bang konteksto ng ating question dito? So si Neo daw may speech siya, and it was blank in its delivery. But, yung message daw ay blank ng mga audience. So, yung illicit, kapag yung letter A, let's try letter A muna. Yung illicit, kapag sinabi nating illicit, you're trying to get something from that particular person. You're trying to elicit something. No? And then, well-received. Receipt is resibo, di ba? So, naresibuhan ng maayos ng audience. So, parang hindi naman papasok sa konteksto ng speech and the receiving messages or receiving speeches. So parang medyo X na yung letter A natin, no? Yung letter B naman natin, elusive. Kapag sinabi naman nating elusive, ano meaning ng elusive natin? No, ito naman yung word natin kapag parang mailap yung isang bagay, very elusive. No? Usually nagagamit yan sa mga sa mga sports article, winning the elusive championship, no, mga mahirap mailap, no? So Neo's speech was elusive in its delivery, parang X agad yung ating letter B, 'di ba? Tapos well reserved. And then yung letter C natin, illicit, starting with the letter I, no, ang pinaka meaning naman niya parang something na unacceptable, no? Parang ito yung mga masamang bagay that you do in public, mga ganon. So, something unacceptable yung illicit. So, and then well-rested. The message was well-rested by the audience. Nung nagpahinga yung mga audience, parang hindi rin naman, di ba? So, just by looking at the options and yung ating context ng sentence, no? Explicit and well-received yung best answers natin dito. Explicit, meaning to say, very bare siya, very straight up front, no, walang no filter, no, yung kanyang pag-deliver ng message, but no, the message was well received. Parang okay lang naman sa audience kahit ganun siya mag-deliver. So, yun yung tamang sagot natin dito for question number 3. Ayan. So okay ba? If ever may mga questions kayo, no, don't hesitate na i-type siya sa ating chat box, sa ating comment section. No, I can see rin naman the comment section sa live stream. Okay. Moving on, question number 4. Ayan. So question number 4. Find the error in the sentence below. Ang ating sentence, the Vice President failed to be discreet on the questionable spending of funds. No error. So is it letter A, Vice President, letter B, discreet on the, letter C, questionable spending, or letter D, no error? Ayan. So I'll give you time. Type in lock in your answer sa ating chat box. Okay. Ayan. So marami nang nakapaglagay ng sagot dito, and our correct answer for this one ay letter B. No, nakuha siya first ni John Bennett dito. Yan, congratulations. Letter B ang sagot natin. Now let's try to analyze, no, this particular sentence natin here. No, may mga nagsagot ba ng letter A? Parang wala naman, no? Kasi sometimes, no, marami pa ring nalilito whether hyphenated ba ang Vice President, no? May mga times lang na hina-hyphen natin yung Vice President if it's used as an adjective, but if we're talking about the Vice President, no, as a position, no, we don't need to put hyphen na on that one. So, Vice President, mas acceptable, no, in the English language yung ganitong klase ng spelling niya. So, sabi dito, the Vice President failed to be discreet on the questionable spending of funds. Yung letter B, yung mali natin dito, it's discreet kasi ano ba dapat? Can someone sa ating chat box? Yan, tama si Sai. Dapat discreet, no? So, let me just write, no, yung ating spelling. Wait, mali pala. Let me just type yung ating spelling here. It's letter D-I-S-C-R-E-E-T. Ayan. So parang instead of crete, dapat crete. No, na parang double E. Ayan, dapat ganyang klase ng discrete yung ating example, yung ating tamang pagsagot na nitong question na ito, no? So, bakit ba discrete? Anong pinagkaiba ng discrete na yan sa discrete na double E? No, kapag sinabi nating discrete na yung nandito sa letter B, no, di ba ito yung ginagamit natin sa statistics and probability, may continuous and discrete, and kapag discrete, particular lang, no, or parang group na siya, ganun ginagamit yung discrete. Pero yung discrete na to na sinulat ko, itong naka-blue na font, no, ang meaning niya is secretly, no, or nakatago, no, or parang hindi siya ganun ka-expose, discrete siya, no. So careful lang tayo sa mga ganitong klase ng mga questions, no, kasi talagang super usong-uso or parang super grabe din yung paglabas ng mga questions na ganito. And ako, the way that I try to identify error sa mga ganitong klase ng questions, ang pinaka-tip ko sa inyo is to identify the sentence in 3 ways. No, number 1 would be the visual, number 2 would be the grammar, and number 3 would be the meaning. So kapag sinabi natin visual, no, ito yung madaling makita ng mata mo. Meaning yung capitalization, yung punctuation, yung spelling. No, yung tatlong yon, no, yun yung una nating subukang hanapin sa mga find the error types of questions, kasi talagang sila yung parang andyan na, kitang-kita mo na mali yung kanilang pagkakasulat. Now, kapag wala namang mali doon sa mga madaling makita ng mata, like spelling, capitalization, and punctuation, now you go now sa grammar. No, tama ba yung pagkakagamit ng grammar? Tama ba yung subject-verb agreement? Tama ba yung use of words, no, ng ating mga na ginamit doon sa sentence na yon? So yung grammar, we have to check it din kung nag-agree ba yung subject and verb, nag-agree ba yung tamang paggamit ng word doon sa mismong meaning niya as a sentence. Now, kapag hindi nyo makita or kapag wala kayong makitang grammatical error, now is the time for you to analyze the sentence or the meaning level of the sentence. No? Ano bang meaning ng sentence na to? No? Ano bang gusto niyang sabihin? No? If you find some errors on that one, na parang may mismatch doon sa meaning ng sentence or doon sa mga words na ginamit within a sentence, probably that's the last resort nyo na para mahanap yung error. Pero kung wala, among those 3 levels, most probably no error yung sagot. Wag kayong matakot na magsagot ng no error kasi madalas din namang talagang no error yung ating mga examples dyan. So again, yung 3 ways to analyze yung finding errors. Number 1, visuals. Look for madaling makita ng mata. But after that, you go to grammar. And then after that, meaning level na. Ayan. So sana it helps you to identify errors better in the next mga exams ninyo or in the next review sessions ninyo. Okay? Ayan. Next question, number 5. Ito naman. So, looking for the correct word in the sentence. Ang sabi dito, there was too blank information coming from the whistleblower. Is it letter A, many, B, varied, C, several, or letter D, much? There was too blank information coming from the whistleblower. So, timer starts now. Ayan. So, mukhang maraming nagsagot ng medyo hati actually, yung nakikita ko dito sa live. But the correct answer for this one, it's letter D. Actually, nabanggit ko nga when I was reading the question. I don't know if napansin nyo ba yun o hindi. Pero nabanggit ko na siya, too much information. Now, bakit much ba yung ginagamit natin dito? Now, we are concerned sa mga nouns, Nouns na nouns yung parang pinakaano natin dito. Gusto nating pag-usapan. So, hold on. So, yung nouns natin, alam naman natin yung nouns natin. These are the names of people, yung mga animals, basically mga pang-Pinoy henyo natin, Tao, bagay, hayop, lugar, or event. Now, yung mga nouns natin, pwede natin silang i-divide into many different types, Meron tayong abstract versus concrete. Kapag sinabi nating abstract, ito yung mga nouns natin na usually hindi nahahawakan, hindi na-perceive ng mga senses like love, friendship, unity. But yung concrete naman, ito naman yung mga natin na madaling hawakan like yung yourself, your friend, yung friendship, that's abstract, but your friend, it's concrete, kasi nakikita mo siya, nahawakan mo siya, naririnig mo siya. But this particular question is more concerned sa mass nouns or yung mga tinatawag nating mga countable or uncountable nouns versus yung mga count nouns natin. So ano ba yung pinagkaiba nila? So yung count nouns, from the name itself, ito yung mga nouns natin that can be counted, madali silang bilangin. And yung mga countable nouns natin, meron silang mga quantifiers or determiners. Actually, itong choices natin na to, tinatawag natin silang quantifiers. Lagay ko na lang letter Q. Kasi medyo naglalag ang ating ayan. So yung quantifiers natin, sila yung mga parang nagde-determine ng quantity nung nouns natin. So ginagamit natin yung many kapag count nouns siya. madaling bilangin. So like for example, there are many fruits, no? There are many chairs, there are many people, no? Madaling bilangin, count nouns. So other examples ng many ay yung several. No, yung several natin, we also use that for countable nouns din, yung mga nouns natin na madaling bilangin. But for uncountable nouns, like yung word natin na information, no, yung information natin it's actually categorized as uncountable nouns. Meaning to say, hindi mo alam kasi kung gaano kadami yung klase ng information, gaano kabigat yung information na nakukuha mo. Pwede nating gawing count nouns ang information if we only put the phrase pieces of. No? So, pwede siyang maging many pieces of information. Pero kapag information lang, nagiging uncountable noun siya. Therefore, mas dapat nating gamitin yung mga quantifiers for uncountable nouns. Ano yung mga examples nun? Yung much, more, less. Yun yung mga example, di ba? Usually, sinasabi natin less salt, no, less sugar, no, kapag umu-order kayo ng mga milk tea kasi uncountable noun sila. Yung sugar, uncountable siya. Yung salt, uncountable siya. Water, uncountable din siya. Hindi sila kayang mabilang unless meron silang quantifier or yung measurement actually. So for example, 1 kilo of sugar, pero kung sugar lang, mahirap. No? Therefore, kapag nakaka-encounter tayo ng mga ganitong questions, no, we try to look ano yung nouns na pinatutungkulan niya and we use the correct quantifier for that. And for this particular question, much ang ating tamang sagot. Okay? Alright. Moving on, question number 6. Question number 6 natin. Which of the following sentences is correct? Naglag ako dun sa sentences. Is it letter A, the President congratulated the governors and I for our successful policy reforms? Letter B, the President congratulated the governors and me for our successful policy reforms? Letter C, the President congratulated the governors and myself for our successful policy reforms? Or letter D, the President congratulated the governors and I, whom he admired greatly for our successful policy reforms. Nakulangan ng policy reforms. So timer starts now. Go ahead, lock in your answers sa ating comment section. Ayan, alright. So, most of you, no, actually, hati-hati din yung mga question, yung mga sagot ninyo. No, may mga nagsabing letter A, letter D, letter B. But the correct answer for this one, it's letter B. Ang ating first na nakakuha ng tamang sagot ay si Gabriel Pan. Ayan, so bakit letter B? This question is very particular on pronouns naman siya. Ano ba yung mga pronouns natin? Kung kanina, nouns, yung mga pronouns naman natin, ito yung mga words natin that we use to substitute sa ating mga nouns. No, ano ba yung examples ng pronouns natin? Mga he, she, no, yung mga it, no, yung mga you, myself, yung mga I, all of those are pronouns. Sila yung ginagamit as a substitute for specific nouns. So dito, no, we are also concerned about the use of pronouns. Saan ba nagkakaiba-iba yung paggamit ng pronouns natin? Di ba doon sa after ng governors? So mamimili kayo, is it I, me, myself, and I? No? So dito kasi meron tayong mga tinatawag na cases ng pronouns. No? So kapag sinabi natin cases of pronouns, ito yung kung paano siya ginamit. Ginamit ba siya as a subjective case or as an objective case? Now, para dun sa mga nalilito sa subjective and objective. Kapag sinabi nating subjective case ang isang pronoun, ang ibig sabihin lang nito ay ginamit yung pronoun as a subject ng ating sentence. No? So, halimbawa, he ate the pizza. So yung he, it's a pronoun at ginamit siya as a subject. No? Kaya subjective case ang tawag natin doon. Yung objective case naman, if we know objects, no, o objects of the preposition, direct object, no, sa sentence patterns, no, ang object naman natin, sila yung tumatanggap ng action. No, sila yung receiver ng action. So, halimbawa, he gave me the pizza. So, yung subjective case ay yung he, pero yung objective case ay me. He gave me the pizza. So, yung me natin nagiging subjective. Yun ang tinatawag nating objective case. Now, for this one, kailangan nating intindihin, ano ba yung paggamit ng pronoun? Was it used as a subject or as an object? No, so we're just concerned about I, me, myself. No, yung tatlong yan, yun lang yung difference natin. Yung I, ginagamit natin siya as a subjective case. No, I ate the pizza or I won the lottery. No, hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin na he gave I the pizza. Wrong naman yon. Kaya kapag for objective cases ng ating pronouns, we use me for the pronoun I. Kaya ang tamang sagot natin dito ay the President congratulated the governors and me for our successful policy reforms. Ayan. So ano pa ba yung other examples ng mga objective cases natin sa pronouns? Andiyan yung mga him, yung her, yung them, no? Yung mga examples ng ating objective case. And then meron din tayong tinatawag yung pangatlo, yung possessive case naman. No, so yung possessive madali lang 'yan. No, so lalagay natin dito letter P. So subjective, objective, and possessive case. Yung possessive case naman, possession, ibig sabihin pag-aari mo. So yung I magiging mine, 'di ba? Or my, yung magiging possessive case na. Pwedeng yours, pwedeng hers, pwedeng his, no, pwedeng its, yung may mga apostrophe s, no, maraming mga nalilito diyan kapag it's na may apostrophe versus it's na walang apostrophe. Well, usually kapag may apostrophe, ito yung possessive case, meaning to say pagmamay-ari siya. All right? So, yun yung ating cases ng pronouns. And for this particular question, the correct answer is letter B. Okay, next question. Ayan. Question number 7. The Congress is a 2024 blank that my friends and I enjoy. So, is it letter A, horror, survival, game, video? B, survival, video, horror, game? Letter C, survival horror video game, or letter D, horror video game of survival? So lock in your answers. I'll give you time. Ayan. So, marami sa inyo no nakapagbigay na ng sagot sa ating comment section at ang ating correct answer for this one ay letter C, survival horror video game. Very obvious naman siguro, no, because of the video game. Yung video game natin, sila yung nagiging qualifier no ng ating word, but ng ating sentence dito or ng ating groups of words. Ayan. So, paano bang klaseng grammar issue to or grammar topic to, no? This is actually no sa Royal Order of Adjectives. No, naku, marami din ang medyo nalilito pa sa ating Royal Order of Adjectives. So, ang Royal Order of Adjectives natin, ito yung pagkasunod-sunod. Kapag marami kang adjectives na nilalagay to talk about a particular item or a particular noun. Now, ano ba yung noun natin dito? It is yung game, 'di ba? And madali na lang kasi very familiar tayo sa word na video game. No, so yung video natin, itong word na video, ito yung nagsisilbi nating qualifier, No, ito yung nagdadagdag ng additional information about sa ating noun. So video game. No, anong klaseng game? Video. Ano pa bang other examples ng qualifier natin? Ceiling fan. No, yung ceiling, no, that's a qualifier ng fan. Mini fan. No, that's another qualifier ng fan. So, di ba yung fan natin isa lang, pero kapag dinagdagan mo ng qualifier, mas nagiging specific siya. No, yun yung importance ng ating mga qualifier. And usually, yan yung best way to go about the royal order of adjectives. We have to identify ano yung qualifier niya. No? And then, kung gusto naman talaga nating alamin kung ano yung royal order of adjectives natin, no, it usually starts with the determiner or yung mga articles natin. No, yun yung pinakauna talaga. So kapag may mga a, and, the, no, unahin na natin yon. Matik na sila yung pinakauna sa royal order of adjectives natin. No, aside, and then after that would be numbers naman. No, so yung ordinal numbers niya, pati yung cardinal numbers niya. Kapag ordinal, ito yung pagkasunod-sunod. So for example, the first, no, or the last, the second, no, so ayun, yun yung numbers niya. Or kaya the 3 musketeers, the 5 people, no, so after ng it would be after ng article, numbers. And then after niyan, yung pronouns, no, usually may mga pronouns diyan na possessive, like his, her, my, yan, may mga pronouns din na kasama. And then after niyan, observation. No, ano ba yung mga observation mo? Like, interesting, ganyan. Ayan, mga interesting, mga joyful, mga nakikita ng ating na-observe. No, and then size and shape. No, gaano kalaki at ano yung shape ng ating pinatutungkulang word. No, actually, meron tayong mnemonics, no, for royal order of adjectives, pero super varying din siya. Depende sa kung ano yung mga categories na ilalagay mo dyan. No, so, ayan, size and shape, kailangan din na magkasunod sila. So, is it large, circle, ganon, square, rectangular, and then age. No, ano yung age niya? So, for example, young, old, new, ancient, ayan. And then, color. Color. So, color, very ano din yan. Usually, nakikita din natin yan sa royal order of adjectives. And then, aside from color, origin, saan nanggaling? Is it Canadian? Usually, Chinese cuisine. Ganun yung mga usual na lumalabas sa mga entrance exam. Mga American bully, mga ganon. So, origin. And then, material. Saan siya gawa? Wooden, cotton, metallic. And then finally, yung kanyang qualifier, no? Which is yung, for example, this one, video, sa ating video game. Okay? So yan yung usual na royal order of adjectives. But again, iba't ibang references, they also offer different ways kung paano nila, kung ano yung mga categories na sinusunod-sunod nila. So, sometimes may mga mnemonics pa rin sila na gumagamit ng mga sentences. So if that might help you, no, try to also memorize those mnemonics kasi surely, no, hindi naman usually nawawala ang royal order of adjectives sa ating mga questions. Okay? Next one. Question number 8. Ating question number 8. The citizens started another people's campaign because they understand the crucial role of electing good policy makers. Which type of adverb clause is used in the sentence? Is it letter A, time, B, condition, C, manner, or letter D, reason? Okay, go ahead. Lock in your answers. letter D daw. So let's see, tama ba ang letter D? The correct answer for this question is letter. Ayan, next slide please. The correct answer for this one, it's letter. Yes, letter D. Very good, no? Ating first na naka-answer is si Angel Basabe, no? So, ano ba yung adverb clauses natin dito? So, yung adverbs natin, no, kung yung adjectives natin, ito yung mga words no na gumagamit ng na nagde-describe doon sa noun natin. Ang adverbs naman natin, ang pinaka-purpose nila is to describe the verb, no, the adjective or their fellow adverb, no, yung kanilang kapwa adverb. So yun yung kanilang minomodify. And when we say adverb clause naman, from the word clause, 'di ba ang meaning ng clause natin? It's a group of words that has a subject and a predicate. No, usually nagiging sentence siya. Yung clause natin pwedeng independent or dependent. Yan, pero kapag independent siya, sentence na siya, pero kapag dependent siya, may subject, may verb, pero it starts with a subordinating conjunction. Now, for this particular question, no, ang parang gusto nilang tanungin is what is the relationship no ng clauses natin in this type of sentence? And the correct answer natin is reason, for the reason na gumamit tayo ng subordinating conjunction na because. So yung because natin, yan, kapag yan ang ginamit, it's always reason. No, hindi naman manner, hindi naman condition, hindi naman time. So yan, very important yung pag-identify natin ng mga conjunctions natin in a question kasi they would really help you understand ano yung relationship ng clauses mo, ano yung relationship ng words mo, ano yung relationships ng phrases mo within a sentence. No, kaya super grabe yung analytical skills na kailangan na meron ka for language kasi talagang you need to identify the correct word based on the relationships na ipapakita ng mga words na meron ka in a sentence. Okay? That's question number 8. Proceed to question number 9. Question number 9, the victory of governors with questionable track records resulted blank a lot of failure. Actually, mali yung 2. No? Tanggalin natin yung 2 sa question. I'm sorry for that typo. Ayan, tanggalin natin. Resulted blank a lot of failure. So what's the correct answer? Is it letter A, 2, letter B, N, letter C, on, or letter D, at? Okay, so most of you, no, marami namang nagsagot and medyo hati, may letter A, may letter B, but the correct answer for question number 9 is letter B, resulted in. Okay, everybody, no, mali po yung resulted to. No, usually yun yung naririnig natin, 'di ba? It resulted to blank, it resulted to blank. But kapag gumamit tayo ng word na result, no, in yung dapat na kaano niya, yung in yung dapat na ka-pair niya, no? So ito yung may mga words kasi tayo in the English language, no, na pair talaga sila. No, halimbawa, 'di ba kapag iba yung meaning kapag sinabi mong get back to you versus get back at you. 'Di ba magkaiba yung meaning noon just by tweaking the preposition na ginamit natin doon. Kapag get back to you, babalikan mo siya, pero kapag get back at you, ibang meaning nun ay gumante. So, very important din yung preposition natin. And for resulted, for the word resulted, laging in yung kanyang ka-pair. No? Resulted in a lot of failure. No? So, mali yung resulted to natin. No? Pero ang other alternative natin sa resulted ay from. Yun lang yung dalawang tama sa kapag gumagamit tayo ng word na resulted. Resulted in and then resulted from. No, so ano pa ba yung mga other pairs natin? 'Di ba yung mga aside from get back at you, get back to you, yung mga to agree with, no, yung mga ganyan, yung mga look for. No, so we have to understand then or we have to be aware then sa mga ganong pairs, no, ng ating verb plus the preposition. Okay? Tama. Resulted in ang correct na prepositional phrase. Okay, question number 10. Let's go for question number 10. Sabi naman dito, question number 10, teachers in the Philippines are the most hardworking professionals. Blank, they are criminally underpaid and unsupported. Is it letter A and, letter B or C although, or letter D yet? So lock in your answers. Go ahead. Ayan. So, iba-iba din yung sagot ng ating mga participants sa live stream, no? May letter A, may letter D, may letter C. Actually, D or C lang pala, no? But the correct answer for this one, it's letter D, yet, yung tamang sagot natin dito. So, we are concerned here about the conjunctions. So, kapag sinabi natin conjunctions, these are the words na ginagamit natin to serve as a bridge, no, sa ating parts ng mga sentences natin. So usually ang kino-connect niya to independent clauses, no, for coordinating conjunctions, and for subordinating conjunctions naman ang kino-connect nito ay isang independent clause at isang dependent clause. Now, if we are concerned about this question, makikita natin na ang kino-combine niya dalawang sentences or dalawang independent clause. Tama? No, teachers in the Philippines are the most hardworking professionals. That's one. And then they are criminally underpaid and unsupported. Therefore, kapag dalawang sentences yung nakikita natin, no, and it needs a bridge, no, or a conjunction, no, ang kailangan nating gamitin ay ang coordinating conjunctions. No, so ano ba yung coordinating conjunctions natin? Ito lang naman yung fanboys. No? Kasi they combine two equal ideas. Kapag sentence, sentence din. Kapag phrase, phrase din. Kapag word, word din yung kino-combine niya. Coordinating conjunctions yung kailangan natin dito. So, and it also shows contradicting ideas. Tama? No? Magkaibang ideas or dalawang two opposite ideas na related sa isa't isa. And kapag yun yung nakikita nating relationships, usually ang dapat nating ginagamit ay but or yet. No, yung dalawang lang yon sa fun boys. No, so tanggalin na natin yung and, tanggalin na natin yung or, and then yung although, no, although it's a conjunction, it's actually a subordinating conjunction. So dependent clause yung dapat na naka-attach sa kanya or yung kino-connect niya doon sa ating main clause. So ano bang pinagkaiba ng but and yet natin? Yung but natin, it's just two contradicting ideas, no? So for example, ano bang example natin ng but? So for example, I went to go out, but it was raining so hard. No, so parang it shows two contradicting parang two opposite ideas na parang somehow may effect sila sa isa't isa. Pero yung yet natin, usually mas nagagamit, although mas malimit natin siyang gamitin, yung yet dapat ginagamit natin kapag mas yung contradictions nila ay mas related sa isa't isa or mas chronological yung kanilang connection. So just like this one, teachers in the Philippines are the most hardworking professionals. It's fact. That's an idea. No, pero since yung chronology niya or yung surprising event na ma-unveil, no, after you've given this idea or this concept, no, we use yet for that. No, so yun naman yung difference ng but and yet. Usually yung but pwede ding actually walang connect sa isa't isa yung two contradicting ideas. Hindi sila ganon ka-related, but for yet sila yung mas related. Yun lang yung parang easiest way to talk about that one. Question number 11. Which of the following group of words has a complete thought? Is it letter A, vote now? B, as soon as I can vote? Letter C, people who will vote in this coming elections? Or letter D, the results of the elections as pushed by the power of the people? So A, B, C, or D, lock in your answers. Go. Okay. So, the correct answer for this question is letter It's letter A. Naku, mukhang marami namang, I think almost all nakakuha ng tamang sagot dito. So, letter A ang ating sagot dito. So, everyone, when you encounter these types of questions, no, na nagtatanong which has a complete thought, be mindful lang din, no? Kasi hindi porket mahaba yung group of words natin, yun na yung may complete thought. Sometimes, the smallest or the shortest group of words, sila pa yung talagang nagme-make sense. No? So vote now yung ating tamang sagot dito kasi meron tayong implied na subject dito na subject I or you actually. No, you yung ating implied. But for some pwede din kasing I yung implied natin dito sa beginning no ng ating sentence. No, so kapag sinabi namang vote now, naiintindihan nyo naman siya. It's actually an example of a command. No, it's an imperative sentence. If you can still remember yung types of sentences natin, 'di ba? Meron tayong declarative, meron tayong interrogative, meron tayong imperative, and then exclamatory. So, ano yung pinagkaiba-iba nung tatlong yan? Kapag declarative, ito yung types of sentences na na-narrate lang ng or nagsasabi lang ng fact, ng opinion, or ng idea. So, for example, I eat today or I ate today. That's just a declarative type of sentence. No, ang interrogative naman natin, sila yung mga questions no, that ends with a question mark. And then imperative, pwede siyang request, pwede din siyang command. Kapag ka-request, yun yung mas malambing or yung mas magalang kasi may please. And then yung command, sila yung direct na command na nag-uutos lang. Just like choice letter A, no, vote now. And then yung exclamatory naman natin, sila yung may mga exaggerated emotions like wow, ouch, hey, yung mga ganon. Those are examples of exclamatory sentence. Now, kung mapapansin nyo, yung letter B, C, D, it doesn't really have they don't really have a complete thought. Yung letter B, ang sabi niya lang ay as soon as I can vote. No? So, parang kulang siya. It's actually just an example of a dependent clause. No? So, kahit kasi meron tayong subject here na I at meron tayong verb na can vote, may modal pa na can, yung as soon as, it makes it a dependent clause, no? Kasi kailangan niya pang ma-attach sa isang main clause bago siya maging complete sentence. For example, as soon as I can vote, I will vote for you, no? Or I will vote wisely. Kailangan may main independent clause pa siya para maging isang idea siya. No? Yung people who will vote in this coming elections, no, it's just a phrase lang. Actually, wala siyang gustong sabihin, hindi kumpleto yung gusto niyang sabihin. Ano lang, mahaba lang yung kanyang mga modifiers, na yung who will vote in this coming elections. Pero it's just people. People lang yung gusto niyang sabihin. Same goes with option D, the results of the elections as pushed by the power of the people. Ganun lang din. Wala talaga siyang gustong sabihin. Sabi niya lang ay the results lang. So, ayun, be mindful no doon sa length ng ating mga groups of words, hindi porket mahaba ay yun na yung tamang sagot. Okay? Next one, question number 12. Ayan. Question number 12. A news reporter stated that the purpose of their coverage was to inform, to give opinion, entertain, and narrate controversies. No? So may options siya dito, A, B, C, D, na parang it wants you to change no, yung starting to inform. So is it letter A, to inform, to give opinion, entertain, and narrate controversies? Letter B, to inform, to give opinion, to entertain, and narrate controversies? Letter C, to inform, to give opinion, to entertain, and to narrate controversies? Or letter D, inform, give opinion, entertain, and narrate controversies? So A, B, C, D, type in your answers. Okay, so, ayan, marami nang nagsagot. May mga nagsabi ng letter C, may mga nagsabi ng letter D, no? So, ang tamang sagot natin dito, it's letter C, no? So, bakit letter C, no? This type of question, no, is actually concerned with parallelism, no? So, hindi lang sa math or sa geography may parallelism, but pati sa language, no, meron din tayong tinatawag na parallelism. Kung saan, no, lahat dapat ng klase ng words, no, especially kapag list siya or sunod-sunod siyang equal ideas, no, dapat ang gusto niya lang sabihin ay pare-parehas sila ng form, no, make it parallel. So ano bang ibig sabihin nito? Kung nagsimula ka sa to in form, no, na meron kang infinitive na to, yung mga kasunod niya dapat ng mga verbs, dapat naka-to form din, naka-infinitive form din sila. So to inform, to give opinion, and then kapag dito na sa entertain, biglang nawala yung to. Biglang nawala yung infinitive form niya. And here, then, nawala din yung kanyang infinitive phrase. No? So, the best answer dito ay to yung letter C natin, na dapat lahat sila ay naka-infinitive form. No? So, ayan, pwede din naman siyang maging ing form or pwedeng naka-base form lang din siya ng ating verbs, no? So make sure lang na lahat ng items on that list ay pare-parehas sila ng kanilang pagkakasulat or ng kanilang form ng verb. So kung infinitive, go with infinitive. Kung gerund sila, naka-ing, gerund lahat. Kung base form lahat. Kung present tense lahat, dapat present tense din ang lahat. Kung past tense din dapat sila. Okay? Kung future, dapat future din, no? So, make sure lang na pantay-pantay lahat ng nandoon sa isang sentence. Okay? So, that's parallelism. Okay? Question number 13. Ang ating question number 13. Ayan. Medyo may mahaba na tayong text dito. So, question number 13. Sabi dito, when serious allegations arise against a public official, the House of Representatives may take up the matter, often beginning with an investigation by the House Judiciary Committee. If sufficient grounds are found, articles of impeachment may be introduced, requiring a vote by the full House. Should the majority of the House members vote in favor, the public official is impeached, and the matter moves to the Senate, where the process unfolds in a trial setting. The Senate, with the Chief Justice overseeing the proceedings, carefully considers the evidence presented and the defense made. Following deliberation, a vote determines whether the public official will be removed from office. Only with a 2/3 majority vote in favor of conviction can the Senate remove a public official, resulting in the appointment of a new one by the President if necessary. So I hope na-gets natin yung text na to kasi mahirap siyang balikan. But ang ating question for number 13, di ba ang haba? I'm so sorry. Question number 13 natin for this one. Next slide, please. Ayan, the paragraph above is an example of what? Is it letter A, descriptive, B, narrative, C, procedural, D, causation, or letter E, personal? So lock in your answers. Go. So with those things na binasa ko dun sa pagkahaba-haba na yon, ano daw klase ng paragraph yung ipinapakita nun? Ayan, may nagsabi A po, hindi pa nagfa-flash yung question natin. No? So, but you will encounter those types of questions, even longer pa nga for reading comprehension. But the tip that I can give you during reading comprehension is to always read the question first before you try to read everything, para lang maging time efficient din kayo. No? But for the purposes of this review, no, parang mahirap naman na question muna bago yung context. So, binigay ko muna yung selection. So, marami na ang nagsagot, no? Iba-iba. May letter C, may letter B. But the correct answer for this one, it's letter It's letter C, procedural. No? Pinapakita dito ano yung procedure kapag may impeach no, ang isang public official. No? It shows you the procedure. No, the process. Proseso yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. Bakit hindi siya narrative? No, you're not talking about chronological order naman. Hindi naman based sa kung paano yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng mga events. It's the process. No? And very general din yung idea na dinidiscuss niya. So, the correct answer here is procedural. Okay? Yan, it explains the step-by-step process. Okay, question number 14. Next one. Sabi dito, an essay writes, while some believe that online education is the future of learning, others claim it lacks the personal interaction and depth of traditional classroom settings. Both sides have valid points, but ultimately, it seems clear that a hybrid approach might offer the best solution for the future of education. What type of essay might this section be a part of? So ano daw type ng essay pwedeng maging part itong selection na to? Is it letter A? Next slide. Is it letter A, argumentative, letter B, expository, C, narrative, letter D, personal, or letter E, procedural? 1, 2, 3, go! Ayan. So, marami na rin yung mga nakapagsagot and medyo, yung iba medyo confused, no? Kung ano yung tamang sagot. But the correct answer for this one, it's letter A, argumentative. Now, if we're going to go back to the previous selection, no, makikita natin that it presents both sides. No, actually, that part is the conclusion already of your essay. And then, ang sinasabi lang, ang pinapakita ng conclusion na yon, pinapakita niya yung one side, kung bakit important ang online education, and pinapakita na din yung cons, no, bakit pangit ang online education. And kapag we have both sides na pinapresent natin in an essay, the correct approach to that is argumentative. No? So letter A ang sagot natin, argumentative, when you're presenting both sides of an issue or a controversial issue. Kapag expository, you're just merely explaining, no, by facts and by data kung what the topic is all about. Kapag ka narrative, may chronological order. Kapag ka personal naman, very all about you, no? So usually diaries, yung mga reflections, opinions, no? And procedural, yung another example na pinakita ko sa inyo a while ago. Okay? Ayan. So that's question number 14. Question number 15. Ito naman, medyo mahaba-haba din. A piece of writing writes, it's been a long day. The morning started off with an unexpected email from work and I could already tell it was going to be one of those busy weeks. I felt a little overwhelmed at first, but as the day went on, things slowly started to fall into place. I took a break around lunchtime to go for a walk and it really helped clear my head. There's something about fresh air that makes everything feel more manageable. Question, what type of literature might this section be a part of? Is it letter A, short story, B, diary, C, blog, D, POV, or letter E, novella? Ayan. So, ano daw klase ng literature? Let's check the options, no? So, yung kanina, yung mga personal, those are types of essay, no? But this one naman, types of literature naman yung tinatanong, no? So, ang tamang sagot natin dito ay letter B, diary, no? Kung makikita natin, no, it's all about about her life, no? Kung simula pagkagising niya hanggang lunchtime, pagkatanggap niya ng email, it's actually part of a diary. No, kapag short story, usually we have characters here, may plot. Yung POV naman, no, it's actually yung POV natin dito, it's an element of a short story dapat. Hindi siya type ng literature. So ano yung mga point of views natin? 'Di ba we have the first, second, and third. May mga omniscient pa diyan. So kapag first, kapag ikaw mismo yung nagsusulat or nagsasabi, kapag second naman ay kapag ikaw yung kausap, and kapag third ay kapag third person point of view naman kapag ikaw ay wala doon sa eksena and you're just overseeing the things, no? So yung POV hindi siya type ng literature. It's an element of a short story. No, actually element of literature siya. And then blog, hindi naman natin malalaman kung blog kasi hindi naman siya posted sa isang website, 'di ba? Yun naman ang ng blog natin dito. And if it's a novela, no, it's a shorter version ng ating mga novels. So the best answer for this one, it's letter B, diary. Okay? Next one. Question number 16. Poetry naman ang i-deal natin for today. No, ang title niya is Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Sabi dito, hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. No, so ito yung mga super challenging talaga na reading comprehension questions. Kapag poetry na talaga yung dinideal natin. Kasi number one, sometimes it doesn't really make sense. Kapag nagbabasa tayo ng mga poetry, I know, no, nagigets ko kayo kapag hindi natin maintindihan kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng hindi natin maisip, no, or maintindihan ano yung gusto niyang iparating. No, but this one, no, sana may naintindihan tayo because the question for number 16 ay which of the following lines best reflects the idea that hope endures even in difficult circumstances? Anong line daw yung nagpapakita na yung hope, it endures even in difficult circumstances? Letter A, and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. B, hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul. Or letter C, and sweetest in the gale is heard and sore must be the storm. Or letter D, that kept so many warm. So is it letter A, B, C, or letter D? Ayan, so medyo hati din, no, yung answers natin dito. May mga C, may A, may C, may A. May letter B din. Okay, so the correct answer for question number 16 ay ayan, next, sagot natin dito ay for question number 16, it's letter C, and sweetest in the gale is heard and sore must be the storm. So marami nagsagot ng letter A and I can understand why. No, because of the line and never stops at all. Tama ba? No, but this one kasi, 'di ba, ang tinatanong niya, hope endures even in difficult circumstances. No, so yung and never stops at all, no, yung line na 'yon, hindi naman siya nagpapakita ng difficult circumstances, right? No, parang mas malapit na idea sa kanya would be perseverance instead of enduring something. No, but when we look at letter C, and sweetest in the gale is heard. Ano ba yung gale? 'Di ba yung gale, it's a strong storm. And sabi niya dito, and sore must be the storm. So here, nagpapakita siya ng difficult circumstances. No, that you can still rise above it. Parang yun yung gusto niyang sabihin, na kahit na may mga strong winds, kasi 'di ba the author used bird as a metaphor sa hope. No, so and ang nagpapakita doon na hope endures even in difficult circumstances ay, of course, yung situation na may difficult circumstances. And ano ba yung difficult circumstances na na-encounter ng bird? That's the gale and yung mga storms. So the correct answer for this one, it's letter C. Ayan. So letter C ang tamang sagot natin dito. Okay? Next question. Question number 17. Another poetry. No? It's The Hill We Climbed by Amanda Gorman. No? So sabi niya dito, when day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade, we brave the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always just is or justice. No, so yan yung ating poetry. No, ang hirap na basahin actually. No, hindi ganoon ka-rhythmic yung ano natin dito sa question number 17. But our question for this one. Ayan. Ang question natin for question number 17 ay ayan. Ayan pa, naulit yung ating poetry here. But the question is, what figure of speech is used in this poem? Is it letter A, simile, B, oxymoron, C, paradox, D, apostrophe, or letter E, personification? Ano daw yung figure of speech na ginamit natin dito sa poem na yon? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, go! Okay. So here, medyo nakikita ko sa live stream, iba-iba din yung sagot ng ating mga viewers, ng ating mga students. But for question number 17, the correct answer here is letter C, paradox. No? So bakit paradox? It's actually because of the line, we've learned that quiet isn't always peace. Yung line na yon. So ano ba yung paradox natin dito? It shows two contradicting ideas, but it actually makes sense. No, very didactic siya, very parang may gusto siyang sabihing information or idea, but at the same time, contradicting yung sinasabi niya. Like for example, yun nga, katulad ng yon, or we can say marriage is the greatest infidelity. No, marriage is the greatest infidelity. So in that example, marriage, infidelity, two contradicting ideas. Pero kung mapapansin mo, it actually makes sense. Because yung mga hindi unfaithful sa kanila, it's actually those na napangasawa nila. No? So it's actually very preachy din. So yung simile natin, wala namang simile doon kasi wala namang kinumpare na using like or as. Oxymoron naman natin, ito yung two contradicting ideas that are magkatabi. So for example, bittersweet, no, deafening silence. Yun yung mga examples ng oxymoron natin. But for paradox, it looks at a larger idea. No, yun yung pinagkaiba ng oxymoron and paradox natin. Apostrophe naman, when you're calling an inanimate thing or object or person, mga dead people, wala din namang nakita dun sa poem. Personification, hindi rin naman, no, kasi wala namang nag-personify, no, na inanimate object or thing doon sa ating question. So the correct answer, it's letter C, paradox. Okay. Next one. Question number 18. So, medyo mahaba siya. But I'll give you 1 minute to read it. Bigyan ko kayo ng 1 minute to read question number 18. Go! story time. Yan, but our question for question number 18 ay, sana nabasa niyo yung text, no? Sabi lang naman dito, ang gusto nilang itanong, which of the following does the passage above prominently use all throughout the narrative? Ano daw yung parang pinakagamit na gamit doon sa passage na yun? Is it letter A, figurative language, B, circular narrative, C, rhetorical strategy, or letter D, sensory imagery? Go! Medyo mahaba yon, but sana na-analyze nyo siya as a whole, no? Kahit hindi na yung very particular details nung text. Naku, may mga hindi pa daw natapos. Yan, pero kailangan very time efficient tayo. Again, no, kapag magte-take na kayo ng upkat ninyo, better to read the question first before you go to the question. But again, apologies because our review, no, baliktad siya para ma-accommodate natin yung time din ng ating yung time natin here. Yan, so maraming sumagot. At ang kanilang sagot ay tingnan natin kung tama ba because the correct answer for question number 18 ay letter D. Very good. Sensory imagery. Parang lahat nakuha nila yung tamang sagot, no? Because of the words yung parang spilled vinegar, yung smells of estero, yung itsura ng flowers, lahat yon it appeals to the senses, no? The sense of sight, sense of smell, sense of hearing, no? It perfectly describes yung landscape ng Quiapo. 'Di ba? So, it uses sensory imagery. Very good, everybody. Next question, number 19. Ito naman, monologue to. Nakuha tong monologue na to and I will give you 1 minute not to read or to browse through this monologue. Question number 19. 1 minute starts now. Alright, so our question for number 19 is, which of the following strongly reflects the theme of the monologue? Ano daw yung theme ng ating monologue? Is it letter A, religious prejudice, B, racial discrimination, C, criminality and violence, or letter D, historical anachronism? A, B, C, or D? Kahit na-skim nyo lang yung yung monologue na yun, madali ding sagutan to eh. No, pag nakita nila yung mga particular words, ano yung pinakamalapit siya? Letter A, religious prejudice, B, racial discrimination, C, criminality and violence, or letter D, historical anachronism. Okay. Sunod-sunod na yung kanilang mga sagot. The correct answer for this question ay, it's letter A. Very good, no? For all of those na sumagot ng letter A, tama kayo. It's religious prejudice. Kasi nga kung makikita natin yung context ng monologue, no? It's a Jew versus a Christian. And yung Jew parang nag-rant siya about the experiences na na-encounter niya, no? By living in a Christian-dominated society. No? So yung pinaka-theme niya is really religious prejudice. Yun yung parang overarching, no, sa ating monologue. Okay? So it's because Jew and Christians yung magkausap. Last question, number 20. For reading comprehension, hindi lang siya basta written text. You will also encounter visual, mga visual text din, katulad nito. No, so this was retrieved from GMA News Online, showing the voting population by generation. Kung mapapansin natin dito, 28% ay Gen Z, 34% ay Millennial, 23% ay Gen X, and 13% ang ating mga baby boomers or silent generation. Our question for this visual ay, based on the voting population distribution for election 2025, which of the following statements best explains the potential impact of millennials on election outcomes? So again, yung millennials, 30+% sila. And then Gen X and Gen Z, parang 20+. And then yung mga baby boomers, 13%. Now, ano yung parang pinaka-mai-imply natin from this state or from that visual? Is it letter A, millennials have the greatest potential to influence election results if their voter turnout is high? Letter B, since millennials are the largest group, their votes will automatically determine the winner, regardless of other generations' participation. Letter C, Gen X, despite being smaller than millennials, has a greater influence because older voters tend to be more politically active. Or letter D, the baby boomers, silent generation, still holds the most power in elections due to their historical experience in governance. So ayan, most of you answered letter A, and the correct answer for this one is letter A. Tama, no? So kapag mga ganitong klase ng reading comprehension questions, no, kailangan we always base it doon sa ating visual, no? Doon lang tayo kukuha ng conclusion, no? Hindi pwede yung mga conclusion natin outside of it, no, which is pinakita ng BCD, no? Parang it goes outside. Parang inconclusive na kapag letter BCD, hindi na siya based doon sa visual. Kaya ayun, no, that's our question number 20, and because we are commemorating, no, yung EDSA People Power Revolution, no, very important din na bumoto tayong lahat, no. If you are already a voter, please do vote sa ating election and please do well sa inyong review session. So that's 20 questions already for English review ng inyong day 2. I hope na marami kayong nakuha or new information or even na-refresh na mga information doon sa mga medyo confusing pa on your end. So I think I need to call Josh again. Josh?
All right, what a value-adding session. A huge thank you to Teacher Cedric for sharing your expertise, and of course to all of you for actively participating. Ayan, ang daming nagsasabi. Sabi ni Athena, thank you, sir.